A veteran physician with over 30 years inside the medical system, specializing in family and emergency medicine, was found dead, just days after blowing the whistle on one of the industry's most explosive secrets, the hidden link between parasites and cancer, and the suppressed cure Big Pharma doesn't want you to know about, ivermectin. This is explosive, and the consequences are grave. Because if what Dr. Karen Ruthman uncovered is true, then Big Pharma isn't just failing us, it's actively complicit in sacrificing the health of millions, knowingly suppressing a cure to keep cancer patients locked in a cycle of treatment and profit. Everyone deserves. Dr. Karen Ruthman observed something that most of her peers ignored or dismissed entirely. Patients with strange persistent symptoms. Chronic illnesses that didn't respond to conventional treatment. And in far too many cases, cancer with no clear origin. What did they all have in common? Parasites. She began to see a pattern, one so consistent, so alarming, she could no longer chalk it up to coincidence. After years of quiet observation, she decided to formally investigate the link. And what she found shook her to her core. The connection was real. The data was clear. Parasites weren't just hijacking the human body, they were triggering cancer. And the worst part? There were already cheap, effective Nobel Prize-winning drugs that killed them. Drugs like ivermectin. But the medical establishment wasn't interested. In fact, they were openly hostile. Because if doctors start talking about parasites, and worse, curing patients with off-patent drugs, Big Pharma's entire house of cards comes crashing down. Chronic disease is their cash cow. A cured patient is a lost customer. So she kept her research secret. So dangerous, she didn't even tell her husband, friends or family. But when she started quietly scheduling interviews with alt health media, ready to go public, ready to blow the whistle, everything changed. She was threatened, warned to stop immediately or face the destruction of her career, her license, her name. But she refused to back down. And then, just days before her first planned interview, tragedy struck. She died in a house fire. Official reports called it a freak accident. But those who knew the case closely saw something else. A rushed investigation, key evidence ignored, witnesses never interviewed. A cover-up.
Now at 6, the latest on the investigation into an overnight fire that killed a prominent local doctor at a home in Plantation.
CBS News manager Peter Danch is live for us there. And Peter, still an active scene where you are?
That's right, Elliot and Lauren. In fact, it is still sealed off for yellow crime scene tape. You know, it's been more than 14 hours since this fire started. We've seen crime scene investigators here all day. Now, a friend of the victim told us she wants to know how this could have happened. Vivian Dingman told me she woke up moments after the blaze broke out just before 4 in the morning at her neighbor's home in Plantation Acres, just east of the Sawgrass Mills Mall.
The smoke was horrendous. Even in our backyard, it was very heavy.
Dingman said there was a swift response.
The fire department and the police department, they were here in minutes. They all, took charge and everything really well.
Now Dingman is horrified after she heard her friend, Dr. Karen Ruthman, died in a fire at the home. Ruthman had specialized in family and emergency medicine for 30 years.
What really happened to Dr. Karen Ruthman? And what was so dangerous about her research that someone might kill to keep them quiet? As Dr. Lee Merritt reveals, the NIH isn't ignorant, they're fully aware. They've conducted study after study. The truth? Cancer isn't just rogue cells, it's caused by intracellular parasites. So the question isn't whether they know, it's why they're hiding it. Why is the entire medical establishment working so hard to keep this buried?
Because another dirty little secret that's come out in all this is that we've been ignoring the issue of parasites and cancer. The NIH is not, because they've got 1 million studies on ivermectin and cancer. But doctors all over the world now are showing videos, and there was a German research project years ago in the 90s, I think, showing cancer was parasites, intracellular parasites. Right. If you look at a cancer metastasis, like or an adenocarcinoma of the bowel, for example, or breast cancer under the light microscope, it's essentially indistinguishable from these parasite egg sacs. Now, Brian Ardis, who's a chiropractor but's very interested and very good researcher on this stuff, he said he has a friend who's a 40-year Egyptian parasitologist. And he asked him, and he pointed this out to him. He said, hey, you know, I've been looking at this cancer and versus the parasite egg sacs, and they look identical under the microscope. And this guy got real wide-eyed and said, in 40 years in parasitology, not one oncologist has made that association, but we talk about it all the time in parasitology circles. I translate as saying they know that cancer is parasites. They're not speaking because they don't want to lose their funding.
Curious what parasites' egg sacs actually look like inside the human body? You don't have to imagine it. Just take a look at this high magnification image of a tumour. What you're going to see isn't random tissue, it's organised, structured, like something laid there with purpose. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
What you're about to see is the scientific proof that's being silenced all over the world by the big mafia that we know here, Big Pharma.